Hey, shout out, folks. It's Bob the Old Rucker coming at you raw and uncensored, and only God knows what's going to happen on this show. Welcome to Shout Out from the Pit, where we bring stories and topics designed to add to your toolbox as you trudge the road to happy destiny. And a shout out to our producer, Redbeard. I don't want you to forget about him. Remember, he's the brains and I'm the mouth. Today's solo topic, it's just me, is joy versus grief. Shout out to Brother Dan, Lieutenant Dan to us, for putting this topic in my brain. I say that affectionately, or maybe not. This solo podcast has been in the makings for months, and I'll tell you up front, joy is not a topic I ever thought I'd talk about. When something rents space in my head, and I mean really keeps pinging between the 6 inches of my ears, I have to do something about it or it won't go away. Dan did that to me with the topic of joy. And the more I thought of joy, the more I thought of grief. I mean, what the heck? I started taking notes and my notes grew into pages, and pretty soon it looked like I had a novel. Joy covers so many areas, as does grief, but as opposite as they are, they need to be talked about together. Could there be a more polar opposite example than joy versus grief? Maybe military intelligence, but alas, I digress. Touchy-feely isn't me. I've grown over the years. You won't hear me outwardly being insensitive towards someone's pain. I won't say things like, get over it, suck it up, be a man. Not when it comes to grief. We are allowed to grieve. I might get a little tight with someone if they are a little more sensitive about something than I think they should be, like whining about politics or getting too wrapped up about a restaurant mixing up an order, or having really strong differences of opinion where tears flow and fingers curl into fist. I mean, really, some things just aren't worth getting worked up over. And honestly, I've gotten so much better at keeping my trap shut and even better at doing an about face and pulling Houdini. Attitudes are contagious, and I can't stand being around a bad attitude, nor do I want to be a perpetrator of negativity. Now, I'm not trying to be a passion vacuum either. You know, one of those knuckleheads who have to counter everything they hear just to hear themselves sound intelligent. I don't know if it's my declining years as I age that makes me less patient. I mean, I really don't know. For the most part, I just try to practice the live and let live motto. No road rage, no impatience in the grocery store lines, just yada, yada, yada. And the word joy. I mean, it's an interesting word, especially for those of us with a military background. I mean, when I hear the word joy, I think of a girl's name, dish soap, Richard Simmons. Hey, I'm not trying to bust on that guy, honestly. I found him motivating, and I've mad respect for his personal journey. Maybe it's a guy thing. I mean, if you're old enough to remember the Little Rascals, they had a club for guys only, the He-Man Woman Haters Club. Now, I can't see joy being a topic in that club. Maybe I identify too much with the character Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. I've been bounced. It doesn't matter anyway. But why, over all my years in this recovery journey, haven't I really thought about the topic of joy? Thanks, Dan. Is it because it's not in my military vernacular? Is it because it strikes me as a sissy word? Is it because somewhere in the depths of my psyche, I don't believe I deserve joy? Okay, whatever. Maybe it's a lot of reasons, but does it matter why? I mean, do I got to go Siggy Freud or Doc Young on myself and talk about my fascia issues? Can I just accept joy for what it is and experience it when it comes? So what is joy to me? What is grief? Since we're looking at joy and grief, what's the difference between joy, happiness, and gratitude? What's the difference between grief and self-pity? All of these words are related, and all are very different, and they are all real emotions and very much a part of our lives. So let's take a look at the common definitions and break them down, starting with grief and self-pity. On the surface, I think of grief when we lose, loved ones. Like I lost my mother, my stepmother, a year ago. And more recently, my dear cousin lost her husband. We just lose ourselves. We go numb, we cry, and we experience related emotions of misery, despair, anguish, apathy, and I'm sure there are other ways to express our grief. And I like this definition. Grief is a natural and complex emotional, psychological, and physical response to loss. While it is most often associated with the death of a loved one, it can occur after any significant loss that disrupts your sense of normalcy, safety, or identity. And we can fill in the blanks on that as well. But I'm not going to. Grief is real, and it's a part of life, and experiencing it is what makes us human. If you're grieving, I feel you. Self-pity, now that's a different monster. I like this definition. Self-pity is the excessive dwelling on one's own sorrows or misfortunes. It involves a prolonged focus on feeling sorry for oneself, often with a sense of injustice and a poor me attitude. It is a form of unhappiness that differs from healthy sadness or grief in its focus and motivation. In a letter Bill Wilson wrote in 1966, he says, self-pity is one of the most unhappy and consuming defects that we know. It is a bar to all spiritual progress and can cut off all effective communication with our fellows because of its inordinate demands for attention and sympathy. It is a maudlin form of martyrdom, which we can ill afford. So when it comes to self-pity whispering in my ear, which I know all too well from my own history, I simply say, shut the hell up. And to you, when you demonstrate self-pity antics, I say, whoa, look at the time, gotta go. That's my polite way of saying, stop it. Okay, so let's look at joy and happiness. Happy, happy, joy, joy. First, joy and happiness are cool. I never thought I'd say that out loud, but there it is. There are counterfeits to joy and happiness that I want to get out of the way. Don't confuse false joy and false happiness with joy and happiness. I mean, like getting high or seeking temporary pleasure that you know is bad juju. Those are lies on its face. That is a false joy, and those of us that have been down that road know it. And if you're currently on that road, you know it. So scratch that crap off, that false joy and happiness from your list. All right, moving on. While joy and happiness are both positive emotions, the key distinction often made is that happiness is temporary and comes from external circumstances, while joy is a deeper, more enduring state that comes from within. Experts and philosophers often distinguish joy from happiness by describing it as a deeper, longer-lasting state of contentment that comes from within, rather than a fleeting emotion triggered by external events. Charles Wagner, French theologian, says, "Joy is not in things, it is in us." Proverbs 17:22 says, "A joyful heart is good medicine." Happiness is a complex concept encompassing, got to get my diction together, a wide range of positive emotions, from contentment to intense joy. While it is often discussed as a fleeting feeling, psychologists also define it as a broader state of overall well-being and life satisfaction. The book Alcoholics Anonymous, page 159 reads, "Though they know they must help other alcoholics if they would remain sober, that motive became secondary. It was transcended by the happiness they found in giving themselves to others." And regarding joy and happiness, here's a paradox also taken from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, page 341, which I believe applies to everybody, alcoholic or not. We give away to keep. That seems absurd and untrue. How can you keep anything if you give it away? But in order to keep whatever it is we get in recovery, we must go about giving it away to others. And you can also say what we get in life, AA, fill in the blanks for yourself. for no fees or rewards of any kind. When we cannot afford to give away what we have received so freely, we had better get ready for our next drunk. It will happen every time. We've got to continue to give it away in order to keep it. All right. And so let me toss in a word about gratitude. Gratitude is the state of being grateful or thankful. It is often described as a positive emotion, an attitude, and a virtue that involves affirming the good in one's life and recognizing the source of that goodness. This process involves both acknowledging a positive outcome and recognizing that an external source, such as another person, a higher power, or the universe, was responsible for it. And here's a final reading on joy from July 11th's Daily Reflection. Either the AA way of life becomes one of joy, or I return to the darkness and despair of alcoholism. Joy comes to me when my attitude concerning God and humility turns to one of desire rather than of burden. The darkness in my life changes to radiant light when I arrive at the realization that being truthful and honest in dealing with my inventory results in my life being filled with serenity, freedom, and joy. Trust in my higher power deepens, and the flush of gratitude spreads through my being. I am convinced that being humble is being truthful and honest in dealing with myself and God. It is then that humility is something I really want, rather than being something I must have. All right, I've collected just a few thoughts to help with grief. Recite some cliches. This too shall pass, one day at a time. Pray. Ask God to help you with your grief. Take this cup from me. God, take the wheel. Call on your sponsor, a brother, a sister, a therapist. It's okay. You don't have to carry this burden on your own. Break the trance and give yourself permission to take a break. Blast your favorite tune until you're deaf. Watch funny brain-dead reels. Hit the gym until you're smoked, exhausted, passed out, laying on the floor in sweat. Scream. Make a gratitude list. So if you come across someone experiencing a happy, joy moment, be a part of it. And slap yourself if you realize you're being a passion vacuum. Ain't nobody got time for that. And if someone is sharing their grief with you, just listen. Be in the moment with them. And slap yourself if you try to fix the situation. You don't have that kind of power. Love in silence. And in conclusion, I have a go-to prayer that I've modified, originally written by St. Francis of Assisi. I took a bit of artistic license to fit me, and I don't think he'd mind if you did the same. It covers so many emotions and areas, and it works for me, so I hope it works for you. All right, here we go. God, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, let me sow pardon. Despair, faith, doubt, hope, darkness, light, sadness, joy. Oh, magnificent God, let me not so much wish to be consoled, but allow me to console. And let me not wish to be understood, but teach me to understand. And let me not wish to be loved, but show me how to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in forgiving that we are forgiven. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Okay, so Redbeard and I want to give you an opportunity to be on the show, as always. If you have a word of encouragement or want to share your experience, strength, and hope, let us know. Everyone has a story, and we have a platform to share those stories. This is your show, folks. So share us with your story with us, share it with other people. You can do all this through shoutoutfromthepit.com. Remember to check out Diane's missives on the website, her words of encouragement and tools for your toolbox, and listen to personal stories from folks who beat the odds and are now living awesome lives. Our phone, email, and message board information are all on the site. Be sure to subscribe for future episodes. It's free, and it's for fun. Oh, and we finally put up a buck bucket. We do this show as our community service, but we still have platform fees and a desire to upgrade our antiquated equipment. So if you got a buck to spare, hit us up on shoutoutfromthepit.com. Hit that donation site, blasey poo poo. And remember, if you want to feel good about yourself, go out and do something for somebody else. And finally, as always, you're not alone. If no one's not told you today that they love you, we love you. So God bless you. Have an outstanding American day. This is Bob the Old Rucker. Peace out.